Come on, Your Honor. It was just a prank. If people are still homeless, that's their problem, not mine. Those careless words echoed through the courtroom, captured on camera in a moment that would soon explode across the internet and permanently change a teenager's life. Inside the courtroom of Judge Judy, a 16-year-old sat with a smirk, barely hiding his amusement as the charges were read aloud. Felony vandalism, destruction of property, and hate crimes against a protected group. But this was no ordinary case. This teenager hadn't just committed vandalism. He had broadcast it live. He streamed himself destroying a homeless shelter, mocking the residents as worthless, while over 250,000 followers watched and cheered him on. What unfolded in the next 19 minutes would become one of the most viewed courtroom moments of the year, shared tens of millions of times worldwide, but when those cameras started rolling, no one knew the truth that was about to come out, because the shelter he destroyed had been built by his own father. And the truth about that father's past, hidden for years, was about to break everything this boy believed about success, struggle, and what real strength actually means. Now listen carefully, because this isn't just a case, it's a turning point. At 16, Tyler Chen believed he had life completely figured out. He was the son of Marcus Chen, a powerful real estate developer. Tyler had grown up surrounded by wealth, in a world where money solved problems and privilege opened every door. He drove a luxury car gifted on his birthday. He lived in a massive house with every comfort imaginable. His clothes alone reflected a lifestyle most people could never afford. Online, he had built a large following, not through talent, but through humiliation. His videos targeted people he considered beneath him, homeless individuals, workers, strangers. To Tyler, the world was simple. There were winners and there were losers. And to him, losing was a choice. That belief led directly to the crime that brought him into court. On a cold October night, Tyler and 3 friends broke into a community shelter in Providence. Security cameras recorded everything. Lawing and streaming live, they vandalized the building, spray painting walls, ripping apart donated clothes, destroying equipment. Then came the most disturbing act. They poured bleach over food meant to feed hundreds of people. The next day, Tyler posted the footage online, mocking the shelter, calling the residents weak, saying they deserved their situation. But this wasn't his first offense. At 14, he had filmed himself stealing electronics for online content. At 15, he vandalized a memorial dedicated to deceased students. Each time, his family's wealth protected him, charges reduced, records sealed, consequences erased, and each time Tyler learned the same lesson: he was untouchable. When he entered the courtroom that Tuesday afternoon, he carried that belief with him. He walked in casually, earbuds in, phone in hand, barely acknowledging where he was. He dropped into his seat, scrolling, laughing, completely disconnected from the seriousness of the moment. Judge Judy watched him closely. "Mr. Chen," she said firmly, "do you understand the charges against you?" Without even looking up, Tyler shrugged. "It's just a prank. People are overreacting. Just tell me the fine. My dad will handle it." A murmur spread across the courtroom. "Put the phone away," the judge said sharply. "This is a court of law." With visible irritation, Tyler complied. "Can we hurry this up? I've got things to do." The judge reviewed the evidence, videos, reports, statements. "Is this an accurate description of what you did?" Tyler leaned back. "You're making it sound worse than it is. Nobody died. It's just stuff." Silence filled the room. "You destroyed food meant for hungry people," the judge said. "Clothing for those facing winter. Tools used to rebuild lives. Do you feel any remorse?" Tyler rolled his eyes. "For what? They should get jobs. My dad came here with nothing and made it." "Anyone can." That statement changed everything. The judge paused. "Is your father here today?" Tyler turned. "Yeah, he's here." "Your father requested to be present," she said. "He believes there's something you need to hear." Confusion appeared on Tyler's face. Then came the question that shifted everything. "Do you know what that shelter is?" Tyler shrugged. "Just a shelter." The judge's voice lowered. "That shelter was built by your father." The words hit like a shock. Marcus Chen stood slowly from the back of the courtroom and walked forward. The entire room fell silent. When he spoke, his voice was calm but heavy. "Everything you know about my story is incomplete." He looked directly at his son. "I came to this country with nothing, but not as a success story. I came with no support, no stability, and nowhere to go." Within months, he had nothing left. "For 3 years," he said, "I was homeless." The courtroom froze. Tyler stared. Unable to process what he was hearing, Marcus continued, he spoke of sleeping in subway stations, reaching for food, standing in long lines, hoping there would be enough left, wearing donated clothes. I was one of the people you mocked, he said. Tyler's face collapsed. I hid this from you, Marcus continued. I was ashamed. I wanted you to see strength, not struggle. He paused. But by hiding the truth, I taught you something dangerous, that struggling makes a person weak. The courtroom fell into complete silence. Tell him about the shelter, the judge said quietly. Marcus nodded, steadying himself. I found that shelter when I had nothing left, he said. I was sick, exhausted, and close to giving up. I had been sleeping outside, barely surviving. He paused, his voice heavy with memory. A social worker brought me there. She didn't treat me like I was worthless. She treated me like I mattered. She helped me learn, helped me work, helped me stand again. He looked directly at Tyler. That place you destroyed is the place that gave me my life back. Tyler broke down completely, his voice shaking. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. That's because I never told you, Marcus replied, his tone firm but filled with regret. I hid my past because I was ashamed. I wanted you to see me as strong, not broken. He took a breath, but by hiding the truth, I taught you something dangerous. I made you believe that struggle makes people weak, when in reality it's what makes them strong. The weight of those words hung heavily in the room. Marcus turned toward the judge. Your Honor, I don't want him protected anymore. No lawyers fixing this, no shortcuts. He needs to face what he's done. The judge nodded, her expression firm. Tyler Chen, she said, this court finds you guilty on all charges. The sentence was delivered clearly. 6 months in juvenile detention, no early release, $50,000 in restitution earned by his own effort, not his family's wealth, 500 hours of community service at the same shelter he destroyed. 1 full year without access to social media, written apology letters to those affected, and a public statement accepting responsibility. Tyler stood there, tears running down his face. Yes, Your Honor, he said quietly. I understand. But the judge wasn't finished. You will also speak to other young people about what you've learned, about privilege, empathy, and the consequences of cruelty. Your father will stand beside you and tell the truth you were never told before. Tyler nodded again, unable to speak. The courtroom, which had been silent, slowly filled with emotion. People watched as Marcus stepped forward and pulled his son into an embrace. Tyler collapsed into him, crying openly. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. Marcus held him tightly. I love you, he said. That's why I'm doing this. Real love doesn't protect you from consequences. It prepares you to face them. The footage of that moment spread rapidly online, reaching millions within hours. But the real story didn't end in that courtroom. It began there. Tyler served his time in detention, and the experience stripped away the last of his arrogance. For the first time, he had no status, no protection, only time to think. He read, he reflected. He wrote letters of apology, not for show, but with sincerity. When he was released, he returned to the shelter, not as someone above it, but as someone willing to learn. At first, it wasn't easy, but slowly something changed. He began listening. He heard stories of people who had lost everything, jobs, families, health, stories of people who had fought through circumstances he had never even imagined, and for the first time in his life, he understood. The people he once mocked became the people who taught him. He learned their names, their struggles, their strength, and with every day, the person he used to be faded further away. When his required hours were complete, he didn't stop. He kept coming back. He chose to stay. Months later, Tyler began speaking publicly, not for attention, but to tell the truth. He stood beside his father, sharing a story built not on image, but on honesty. He spoke about privilege, about ignorance, about how easy it is to judge people when you've never lived their reality, and how dangerous that mindset can be. Marcus, for the first time, shared his full story openly, not as a weakness, but as proof of resilience. What people saw online was a moment, but what truly mattered was what came after. A boy who once laughed at suffering, learning to respect it. A father who once hid his past, choosing truth instead, because sometimes the hardest truths are the ones we avoid the most. And sometimes those truths are the only thing powerful enough to change a life forever.